Welcome to the SaaS AdLab podcast, where we interview the stories of SaaS founders, entrepreneurs, and CEOs. My name is Luis. I'm the owner and founder of Fantôm Agency, a digital marketing agency specializing in scaling SaaS companies. And today we have the pleasure of interviewing Alexander. He's the founder of Unicorn Platform. Alexander, thank you so much for joining us here today and giving us the time. I know it's a little bit later for you, so I really appreciate you taking the time out of your day to do this with us. And why don't you tell us a little bit more about yourself and where are you currently right now?
Hello, everybody, and thanks very much to Luis for this opportunity. I'm the founder of Unicorn Platform. It's an independent bootstrapped SaaS product. It's a landing page generator for startups, for mobile applications, for web services, for Chrome applications, for open source projects, everything about tech products. I'm a maker. I have created a dozen of projects in the past, and one day when my startup failed, I thought, so Alex, what should you do? What should you do next? And I thought, well, what do I love? And I started to making a list. What's my true passion? And number one was web development and web design. And I thought, so you love web, and yeah, it's pretty obvious. Let's make a landing page generator. So here I am building Unicorn Platform.
So essentially, you took the right approach with this, right? And I feel like that's one of the things that a lot of entrepreneurs miss is the fact that they have to be passionate about whatever it is they're doing. So essentially, you could have done a million things and thought about, the end process. So where is this going to end? Am I going to be able to have an exit with this? Am I going to be able to sell it? Am I going to be making millions of dollars, right? But I think that's the wrong approach. And I think you did the right thing and actually sitting down and thinking, what do I love to do? Like I could literally sit here and do this at 3 a.m., 4 a.m., 5 a.m., and whatever that time may be, right? Obviously, you don't have to do that. But if it came down to it and you actually sat down and did that thing, it's going to be a lot easier to do those types of things when you actually love what you're doing. And I think that's extremely important, essentially, and ideally, right, when you're a founder, entrepreneur, when you're pretty much doing everything on your own at the beginning and you don't have someone else to look for and say, hey, are you going to take care of that today? Because it's not going to happen. It's going to be coming from your heart. And I think that's extremely important. So I think you did the right thing there. And with that being said, without, and I don't know if this is the case, but from what I know so far, without doing much research into the product that you wanted to create, essentially just going from what you loved, how did you know that you had the right product and that you were solving a problem? Or what kind of steps did you take in order to find, essentially what kind of angle you had to take this in? Because there's a lot of landing pages, there's a lot of funnel creators out there. So how did you choose the model that you're currently using?
I have been talking to many founders, makers, and I realized that the landing page creation tools they are changing really fast because the web development industry is changing fast. And I realized that it's very common for founders, for web designers and developers to switch from one platform, from one tool to another and try this and try that. And that gave me, that understanding gave me the confidence that my tool will be noticed. That's it.
Okay, perfect. That's great.
One addition about making a list of what you love, your passion. Actually, my biggest making lists is one of my favorite things to do. It can be useful in your day life. For example, you can create a list for any problem, any question you have. For example, what do I want for lunch? Okay, so it'd be vegetarian, meat or sushi. Do I want to work with this client? Is this opportunity good enough? So you just create list pros and cons, and when you express your minds, your suggestions, it's always much more simpler to make a right decision. Yeah, I love it.
I think that's a really good point that you just touched on. And I actually just started reading a book by Keith Cunningham is his name, and he talks about thinking time. And thinking time is something that a lot of people don't do, essentially. And this is something that he figured out on his own because he wasn't doing it, right? So he was taking and making decisions pretty much on the fly when something happened. And he realized that by making those, he was making what he calls the dumb tax. And it's just like money that he's losing because he wasn't taking the time to think about the decisions he was making. So what he talks about in the book is literally taking, an hour to 45 minutes to an hour out of your day and just sit down with a notepad in front of you and write one question and write all the different things that you can, the different options that you have and really thinking about what's going to be the outcome of that specific thing. And like you said, there's so many different options to like essentially like one question as simple as what am I going to eat? There's just like so many different ways that could go. And if you sit there for, I don't know, 5 minutes and just write down, the things that you like and what's on your mind, you'll actually be able to figure out which one you want to eat the most. And that's a little bit on a tangent, but essentially it could go, with a lot of different options as far as whether you're making a landing page, for example, right? And you're talking about what am I going to put on it? If you sit down and think about all the things that you can put on the landing page that are going to get a customer to actually take the action that you want them to take, it's going to be a higher converting landing page than if you just don't even think about it and just put random stuff on it. So I think that's very important. And I like the approach that you have for decision making. I think it's very unique, and I think a lot of people don't do it that way. But essentially, is there a specific type of person that is attracted to unicorn platform, or is there a niche for your product?
Yeah, I've decided to focus on a very narrow audience, startup guys, makers, founders. So I offer only templates for startups. It's SaaS services, mobile applications. So you have to go, how it says, do my small steps and think about big future. Yeah. So I've decided to start with this niche because I fully understand the needs and the problems of startup founders because I'm such guy. So yeah, it will be an easier start. So yeah, I plan to expand the audience. So like create templates for events, maybe e-commerce in our future. But at this moment, yeah, it's only startup guys. And it's very fun to talk to this audience because we're very open-minded. When you take an interview and ask a founder, hey, what do you think about my product? Many of them are very friendly. They give a lot of valuable, priceless feedback. And I feel like I'm talking to a friend, and that will be difficult, much more difficult if I started from another niche, for example, from e-commerce, because I don't know how that guys think, what's on their mind. Yeah, that's it.
Absolutely. And that's something that I've noticed too in this industry is that a lot of people are very like-minded and they think a certain way, and they're always open to giving feedback and helping one another. And I absolutely love that. I think it's invaluable. The fact that you can literally ask just anyone and they'll are open to, okay, well, I'm going to take time out of my day and review, your process or your website or whatever it is that they're looking at. So I think that's very important too. And I love the fact that people in this industry are like that. And another question I wanted to ask you is regarding price and the product itself, right? And I was going through the website and I noticed that you do have a freemium. And I wanted to kind of go a little bit deeper into what made you choose that way of approaching your model. There's a lot of different ways to do it, right? You could do a free trial with full options, full features, or you could do a freemium with limited features, but they can literally be on the platform forever without paying a dime. So what kind of, I guess, items were the ones that really sparked up this decision?
First, the concept of the product of this version of product is unobvious. It's an HTML generator. My product at this moment produces static landing page generators, and that's not obvious for many people. Yeah, because the majority of website builders like Wix or Squarespace, they offer full services like online content editor, hosting, which Unicorn platform doesn't offer at this moment. So I've decided to give everybody a chance to get used to the product, to try it, because in our otherwise there is a risk that people will not understand what we buy and may be angry. So good points about free plan is that people use my website and we're very grateful for uh, free templates, and they keep the branding like a small banner at the bottom made by Unicorn, and that's a good promotion.
Yeah.
Also for web design, for web builders, for website builders, it's very important to showcase your design as as much as you can, because each website builder, such as Wix, Squarespace, has own unique identity. You know, Squarespace has black buttons, their own fonts, their own spacings. Wix has their own, and I also have my own design with little details which are unnoticed on some subconscious level. And each time you see a template, my template, you subconsciously, it's a marketing touch. You see my button and you realize that, oh, it's Unicorn platform. And it's crucial for my business to show my design in any ways. Even if I lose some money in the long term, it's a good strategy to.
It's a bit of a growth hack in that sense, right? When people start noticing and it goes hand in hand. So, oh, well, they definitely made that with Unicorn platform and so on. So
Yeah.
I like that idea. And what the other thing too that I noticed is that you're only, and maybe this has to do with something that you mentioned earlier. You said that people that were using these platforms, they would, switch from one to the other constantly. So they don't stay the long run. And that almost makes me think this is the reason why you made the price to be a yearly price and not a month to month. Is that why, or is there another reason why you decided to go with the annual investment price?
Yeah, it's a common question. Many people ask this, and the answer is that my product, as I said, provides HTML templates. And with HTML, as you may know, a website needs also CSS, JS, icons, and other assets. And so when a user signs for Pro plan, he gets full access to the assets. And so if I had a monthly plan, any user could just buy 1 month, create a website, and download the assets, and then there is no need to pay for another month. So my lifetime value would be like $20, and that's very low. Of course, there are updates. I create more components every week. Yeah, but still lifetime value in that case, with monthly plan, would be very much lower. So I've decided to stick to only early yearly plan. When I create a complete website builder such as Wix with online editor, with hosting, so a monthly plan will be a good option, because actually each website builder, they resell hosting. Yeah, they buy servers and you pay for servers, and their website building tool is like an addition to the hosting they resell to you.
Right.
So if you don't pay monthly, your website will be down. Yeah. In my case. Yeah.
And so how many people are currently using Unicorn platform, whether it's paid. So how many people are on the freemium? About, obviously.
I have decided to not force users to sign up at this moment. And so I don't know how many users are on free plan.
Okay.
There are 600 signed up users and about 50 paying users.
Okay. Awesome. And what's been the biggest, the best, strategy to growing the company so far? What are some of the things that you've done to get those 50 customers?
There are two huge spikes which brought me all the customers. It's of course Product Hunt. Product Hunt is awesome. I'm a biggest fan of Product Hunt, this great community, and the Product Hunt product is also great, and their stuff is awesome. The second spike is brought by the lifetime deal round, which I run to collect some money for future updates. It also created a big attention to the product. Yeah, I have found a guy from Facebook found me. His name is Nitesh. He runs a private lifetime deal group on Facebook, and he said, "Hey, Alex, you have a nice project. How about featuring it in my group?" I said, "Okay, let's do it." And yeah, it brought a lot of signups.
That's awesome. And as far as reducing churn or keeping churn down, what are some of the things that you're currently doing to kind of make sure that the people are happy with the product, make sure that they're getting what they're paying for, essentially keeping them on board for as long as possible?
From the start, I have created multiple channels to communicate with the audience, with users. It's an online chat, which is used very frequently. I spent about 10% of my day work time on chatting with users. The second is Slack community. So people just join and ask questions about product, about plans, about how to do X, how to do Y. The third channel is public Trello roadmap, where users give suggestions, ask questions, and see which updates are next to be done.
That's very cool.
Yeah, and of course, social networks. Yeah, that's my channels of communicating with users.
Do you think that's the best way to keep them around, is by keeping a community of the people that are currently using the product, and really I see that a lot of SaaS companies sometimes it's the user onboarding where things kind of get lost because the customer isn't entirely sure of how to use a product, or they have questions, and if it's hard to reach the person that's going to be able to help them, they don't have the answer, so they're going to leave, right? Like, it's just hard to stay somewhere where you're not entirely sure of how to use a product. So do you think that keeping them in a community where they can contribute and give you suggestions, and you can give answers to whatever questions are brought up, do you think that's one of the reasons why people like to stay with Unicorn Platform compared to going somewhere else?
Yeah, very good topic. Balancing between being always online on chat and making work on product is a tricky business.
Yeah.
So I have decided to be as accessible as possible. It affects my productivity. Yeah, it kills it.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm still open, and I believe that making a loyal community will be helpful in a long-term future. So I want to find ambassadors, loyal fans, which will spend a little time to support new users, and it actually works. There are only, let me see, only 40 people in the Slack community, and even only 40 people also gives results. I sometimes wake up and open my Slack and see that a question is already answered by a member of a community.
So
So
that's,
yeah, it saves time. I believe in this strategy.
yeah, that's one of the things that I believe we touched on a past podcast, is the fact that you have a community of people that are, you know, they're going to be all different levels of, you know, I guess, experience with the product. So there's someone that maybe has been using it for 3 years. Maybe there's someone that's only been using it for a month. So essentially, you're creating your own little customer service, because they all become friends. They start talking. They start sharing ideas on how to use things and how to fix, you know, whatever may have happened. So I think it's a very good way of leveraging social media for your brand, because they're already on there. They're already spending time on social media, and they all have that same product. You know, it's a similarity between all of them. So it's just going to bring them together even closer. You can, and not only that, but the fact that you actually get to create relationships with these peoples, right? And I think that's important, because essentially, I think that feeling of making friends because of a product is very important. And you see it with SaaS a lot, and especially the ones that are leveraging social media, because they can interact with one another. And that allows you to hop outside of there, because you already have people that are currently answering questions.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I think it's very unique. And I think some people are missing the point with Facebook groups, or really any other, like Slack, whatever you would decide to go with, right? But I think there's a lot of opportunity in there, and you start finding those people that are really loving your product that way, and they
Yeah.
also nurture others.
Yeah.
So it's very, very cool, especially when you start seeing that happen. Obviously, you know, when you have one group with one person, it's kind of pointless, because there's not much going on. But as you start seeing that group grow and just go up, and you start seeing interaction between the people, it's really unique, and it's definitely a good feeling. Not only for yourself as the founder, but also for everyone inside of the community, because they feel like, you know, there's just more going on in there. So that's really cool. Another one of the questions that I wanted to ask, and I'm not entirely sure actually, is are you a founder by yourself? Is there someone else that's a co-founder, or anyone else that's making decisions with you?
I'm at the moment the only founder. I'll tell you a secret. I came to Moscow to my friend. His name is Kostya. He's very experienced developer. He started his career like 12 years ago.
Okay.
And we have decided that I will come to his place and he will help me with building an architecture for my future platform. And I said, yeah, that's a cool idea. And some weeks later, I've decided that Kostya might be that co-founder that I'm looking for, and I want to make him an offer soon.
Does he know about this?
He doesn't know about that yet.
Maybe he'll watch the video.
Maybe I think it would be better to tell him personally.
No, definitely.
So yeah, I believe that soon we will be 2 people, and I will also need to hire 2 more developers. Yeah.
Cool. So you're just taking this thing on your own right now, solo. You've been able to grow this so far.
Yeah. At the moment, I'm alone, but yeah, working alone is hard.
Yeah, it's busy. That's awesome, though. I mean, what you've created so far, you know, it's a good product. People love it. You already have a community on there. You've been on Product Hunt before, so it's a great start. And I think there's a lot more, you know, to come with the product. It's definitely unique, and I think there's some things that it definitely touches on that others in the same industry or the same space aren't necessarily hitting as well as you are. So congratulations on that. And I wanted to talk a little bit more about the mindset, you know, as far as being an entrepreneur. And, you know, it takes a lot of time, right? And it takes a specific type of person to do the things that you're currently doing. Essentially, you know, you're putting a lot of things on the side to work on your product, to work on your company and grow it. Obviously, there's a lot of sacrifices that come with that. So I just want to understand a little bit more about how you do things specifically, and essentially, hopefully we can help people that are in the same spot right now, or people that are currently, you know, looking to start a company so that they get ready for what is, you know, entrepreneurship and what all they have to do. So one of the things I want to ask is what is, you know, the mindset that you have to have when it comes to building a product. Obviously there's a lot of nights, you know, a lot of days that maybe you feel lost, you're not entirely sure of what direction to take, or what to focus on, because there's so many different things you have to do. And
Mm-hmm.
it's just like, where am I supposed to start? Right.
Mm-hmm.
So I want to hear your input on this.
Oh, that's a very complex question. What really helps me is talking about my strategy, about my plans, my problems with another man. In my case, because I don't have a co-founder, it's a business coach. I pay him for consultancy. He doesn't give direct advices like do this, do that, don't do it. He just asks questions like, why do you think your plans are good? What are the weak points? What are strong points? Are you sure? Are you confident or not? And during these sessions, I start to thinking very, very hard. Yeah, that questions which it's difficult to ask yourself a difficult question. And when someone outside who is not interested in your product asks you, it brings you out of your comfort zone and you start thinking more realistically, more to ground. That helps me a lot. When you're not alone, when you're alone, it's better to talk to someone who is not interested in a product. So it's not there is no one answer on your question.
Yeah.
It's complex. I think the most important in entrepreneurship is confidence in what you do, and it it this confidence should be like a solid rock, and it should be always be ready to change, and you don't have to be afraid of changes. Yeah, the market changes, where competitors comes up, um, and the changes are always be, and it's nothing bad about failing or making a pivot, anything else. Yeah, you're a strong man, you're smart, everything would be fine. Just go your way. Yeah, that's how I do it. Not sure is it
No, I
fine for
think that's great.
everyone.
And I think you brought up a great point, right? And it's really surrounding yourself with people that have, you know, experience and they've done things before. Essentially, business coaches or mentors are always a good thing to keep around you. Like you said, just asking those difficult questions, and it's something that we don't do to ourselves because we don't want to. It's hard to get there, right? It's hard to ask, well, I know the answer. It's difficult to put yourself in that position. So I think when somebody from a different standpoint, a different point of view asks you a question that's hard, and you have to give an answer. And even if you don't give an answer, you're thinking about it. So it's definitely, again, it goes back to that thinking time and really figuring out the answers to a question. I think it's extremely important. And like you said, there's no specific answer, but being confident, I think that comes a lot too. And I want to go back to what you said at the very beginning of the interview, which is, you know, being passionate and in doing something that you love. Essentially, that's going to be the most important thing. Without it, you might get places, but it's not going to be fulfilling. It's not going to make you happy at the end, as much as doing something that you enjoy doing constantly all the time is. And essentially the only thing that's constant in life is changes, right? So everything's always changing. So I think being always ready to pivot, being ready to make that next move is extremely important. And like you said, it doesn't come down to failing or succeeding or whatever it is. It's just being persistent and consistent with your actions to get you from point A to point B, which I think is very important. So I totally agree with you. And it was a hard question, but I wanted to see where, you know, what your mindset was on that essentially. Another question, and how do you deal with, you know, with selling? Is it everything? is everything done through the website? Do you have, or do you take any calls from people that are maybe have questions or something like that? Do you do any demos? How do you deal with sales?
The most sales are made with live chat. I'm always online. It's about 16 hours per day, and I respond instantly. And that is my biggest opportunity. And people feel safe. We feel secure with me when a founder replies instantly. They feel like, okay, this guy answers very quickly. If I'm in trouble, he will help me. So if I buy this product, everything would be fine.
Mm-hmm.
And that's a very good sale point. So yeah, chat is my number one sales channel.
That's awesome. And as far as scaling, or actually, we'll go back to a different question right now. I'll ask that after. When it comes to what was the question I was going to ask? Or what is the one thing you're trying to accomplish at the moment for Unicorn Platform? What's on the roadmap, and how are you working towards that?
I have stopped all my marketing efforts. I have stopped all the processes regarding Unicorn Platform and focused on the second version of the product. As I said before, currently it's an HTML generator, and I want to create an online website builder with content editor and hosting. And yeah, I spent the whole day prototyping and designing the tool. And at the moment, I'm writing technical specification for developers and finding a developer. So my number one goal is to create a product. Yeah.
What does that mean for Unicorn Platform? Is that going to be merged into that second product? Are they two completely separate things?
I will keep the first version for existing customers, and it will be frozen. It will not be developed anymore. All the components will migrate to the second version, so it will be, yeah, all the components will be accessible in the second version. And I will continue creating second version for years.
Very cool. That's exciting. And what are we looking for on that as far as the timeline?
I plan to release the second version in the Q2 of 2019.
Okay. Very exciting. And essentially, so I guess maybe this won't make sense with the question that I just asked you, but essentially, when it comes to scaling or the efforts that are going into that, what does that look like?
Oh, I have a huge list of grow hacks and marketing ideas.
Mm-hmm.
I am a big fan of side projects marketing. I think it's very undervalued nowadays. I will put a bet on that. Also, I like connecting with people, making new friends. So this is a great opportunity to create partnerships. Yeah. For example, it can be something like, oh, hi, let's say, John, you have a CRM for startups. Let me create a testimonial on your CRM, and you will create a testimonial for my website builder. And we will exchange links, and everybody is happy. It's win-win. And if you repeat it 100 times, you get links, you get attention. So I will work mostly on side projects and partnerships. Let's name it that.
Are there any partnerships at the moment?
I have contacted some guys. It's the best designers around, such as Design Modo, Creative Team, Craftwork, Dima Bunin, Kiki UI Store. That guys, we have created a small project. It's called Boutique. It's a Black Friday special project where I have gathered all these web design projects from that vendors and put a banner for each product of them. And we together put this project in our newsletters, and we just pushed each other, shared our audiences. So it was like the very first test connection with potential partners, and I like it. I think there are a lot of opportunities. For example, Alexander Paduraro from creative team is very open for partnerships. He said, consider me as your partner. I can create a newsletter for you. Let's do it together. He understands that if he helps me, I will help him in future. And I believe that each entrepreneur, the majority of them, thinks in that way.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's not just entrepreneurs. I think it's everyone, right? It's just a psychological thing where it comes.
Nature. Yeah,
exactly. So it's definitely, and that makes me think of another book called Influence. It talks a bit more about psychology and how to influence people. If you're into that kind of stuff, you should definitely check it out. So again, that's great. Partnerships are huge. That's a lot. That's a very good way to pretty much growth hack and get in front of people. Essentially, you're getting in front of, someone's product that is aligned with yours or maybe complements it, and it's just going to help you get more customers that way. So I think that's awesome. And really quickly, what are your views on, what's your view on affiliate marketing? And is that something that you have ever thought of, or maybe you want to do in the near future?
Yes, of course. It's a good question, and I want to advise to each maker to place sign up for affiliate campaign form in their landing pages before launching on Product Hunt. After my Product Hunt launch, I have gathered about 25 applications of potential affiliates, and when I'm ready, I will start working with them. I think that working with affiliates is requires a lot of time. You have to make a due diligence of them. You have to support them with banners and with copies, what we put on their websites, and help them make sales. I think it has a huge potential. I have not yet worked with that because I don't have a product at the moment. I have a project. The product is ready, but as I said, I want to create a second version and then start promoting the second version. Since I'm alone, I'm all in the product design and product development phase at the moment. So yeah, affiliates are on plan, but not now.
Too much going on.
Yeah, too much.
Too much going on. Second product's not ready. That's awesome. That's very cool. And we're getting close here to the 30 minutes, so I know it's super late for you now. I just want to ask a couple more questions. And is there any books that you recommend to people that are in, the SaaS space?
Oh yeah, of course. I will recommend 2 books. Let me see how it's called in English. The first one, of course, is Robert Cialdini, How to
Win Friends.
Let me see. Robert Cialdini.
He's the one that wrote Influence, the one I told you about.
I think, yeah, it is. The Psychology of Persuasion, right? Yeah, that's a great book. It helps to make marketing and sales better. But in this book, he describes how our brain works, how it's done, and he shows many examples of how some not very good people use our weaknesses of our mentality to force us to buy something. And when reading this book, and you have to keep in mind that these tricks are very powerful weapon, and you have to use them wisely. Yeah,
you have to be ethical about it. Absolutely.
And the second book, Let me Google. I don't remember the English name because I have read it in Russian.
Okay.
It's called. It's a fantastic book. It can change your life. Talking about entrepreneurs. Let me see. I have it in my phone. Yeah, it's actually crucial for not only entrepreneurs but also for anyone who wants to make a good career and will be successful in any part of his life. And it's called, oh, I see. Kid Firazi, Never Eat Alone, about networking.
Okay. I'm pretty sure I've heard that book before. I'll definitely take a look at that. And thank you for sharing that, Alexander. And do you, I should have asked this before. Do you go by Alexander or Alex?
Does it matter? Alex, it's called, we don't have Alex here in Russia. We have Alexander, and the short one is Sasha.
Okay,
So,
very cool.
Sasha.
Awesome. And with that being said, do you have any questions for me?
Questions? What do you think, Louis, about the future of the video market? YouTube now is watched by billions of people. What do you think? What will be next iteration? First, it was like magazines, then it was radio, then TV, now YouTube. What will be next iteration of content consuming?
That's a great question. I think there's definitely going to be a place for things like virtual reality. I think that's definitely where we're going next. Virtual reality, augmented reality, and you see it happening already with like Facebook investing in Oculus and things like that. So that's going to be huge. You can also see just random companies. I remember going on their website for glasses, and you could try them on, you know, with your phone, just using the camera and things like that. Or you could buy something for your home, like some furniture, and all you have to do is hover your phone over the area that you wanted to put that, and it'll show you what it looks like inside of your house. So I think anything that has to do with virtual reality, augmented reality is going to be huge. And I do believe that as we, you know, as we progress more and more, there's going to be something kind of like Tesla, or not Tesla, Elon Musk talks about with his new product Neuralink, where we're you know, linking the brain to computers and things like that. And I think there's going to be some sort of universal ID where essentially things will be very personalized. So if, you know, like right now you're driving down the street and you see a billboard, and it's the same thing for every single person. But I believe that as we move on, everyone that looks at that billboard is going to be looking at something different. So it's like I said, it's going to be very personalized, very unique content, and it's not just going to be on our phones. It's just going to be everywhere. And I know people find it, you know, creepy and weird. Personally, I find it fascinating that we're getting to something like that. So granular as far as marketing goes and advertising. But again, that's my background, and that's the type of thing that I like, and I, you know, fantasize about, I guess. But essentially, I think that's where we're going with all of these. And I think video is going to be huge. It already is huge, but even bigger. But definitely augmented reality, virtual reality, and things like that are going to be huge.
I hope there will be an ad blocker for billboards, and yeah, I don't want to see ads everywhere, please.
Yeah, it could be. We'll see what happens, but I mean, it could go both ways, right? People complain about the way things are right now, but again, they go out there and consume everything. So it's definitely going to be interesting to see how everything starts to take shape. But I think we're definitely leading into something like that, where everything's going to be unique. Like, and there's a problem with that, right? Because essentially, I'm not going to be able to show you something. For example, let's say we're driving on the same car, and I see one billboard and I think it's funny and I laugh at it, but you're going to be looking at something completely different. So there's going to be a disconnect right there. So there's pros and cons, right? Obviously, it's going to be more relevant to me, but when I try to tell you about it, it's going to be something different. So, well, I guess we'll see what happens with that kind of stuff. but it's definitely something that I've thought about quite a bit, and I'm not entirely sure, what to think about it just yet, but I guess we'll have to wait for that.
Yeah, I'm really excited about the future as well.
Yeah.
I think YouTube is about to make some revolution, some change. Videos are too boring.
Yeah, I think so too. I think everything's going to start moving very, very quickly. And that puts every entrepreneur, it's more opportunity, essentially. There's going to be more things to do, more ways to do things. Some people might say it's a risk because you have to pivot. Others are going to see it as an opportunity. And those that hop on top of it are going to be the ones to, take all the gains from it. So you said, be ready for change. And that's exactly what I'm ready for. Hopefully everyone else that's watching this is too. So yeah, I think that's where I'm at with that.
Okay, we'll see.
But again, thank you, Alexander, for hopping on this interview. It's been a pleasure. I really appreciate you taking the time of day, like I said, and it was very, very cool learning a little bit more about Unicorn Platform, what's on the roadmap for you and for the company, and that little secret that you told us about too. Very cool, and excited for that. Excited for yourself and your company to see where you can take this thing, and I really appreciate you taking the time for this. So again,
thank you for the invitation.
Thank you. And again, thank you everyone for watching this. It's always great learning about more companies like Alexander's Unicorn Platform and how they're shaping things and the changes that we're going to be, seeing in the near future. So I appreciate everyone taking the time to watch this video or listen in whatever platform you're listening. Don't forget to try Unicorn Platform. They have a freemium and there's new things, very, very cool new things coming for them. So check them out. And where can people find you online?
I can be found in Twitter and in Telegram, in Facebook, like anyone else. It's Alexander Isora, and it's my handle in each social network.
There you go. So it's the same thing everywhere?
Yeah.
Very cool. And you can find me pretty much, I'm not on Twitter that much, but you can find me there. It's just camacho.ftm. Same thing on Instagram and Facebook. Just look up Luis Camacho. And if you're a SaaS founder, entrepreneur, CEO, or any of the above, make sure you join the SaaS AdLab group. There's a lot of opportunity on there. And if you want to hop on the podcast, let us know and we'll be glad to have you. And thank you for everything today, Alexander, and we'll speak soon.
Thank you. Thank you for your attention.
Bye-bye.
Ciao.